My name's Dan Reed and I'm the producer and director of the documentary Leaving Neverland. I didn't really know much about it, so I had no prior engagement with the Michael Jackson story. And I hired a researcher, Faisal Qureshi, to go out and kind of scrape the internet and see what the current status was of this story. And in amongst the stuff that he found was a reference to a court case involving Wade Robson and James Safechuck, who I never heard of before, against the Michael Jackson estate. And I thought, oh, here are two guys who seem to have a story about being abused by Michael Jackson. I don't know if it's true, but maybe they might be prepared to go on camera, and that might be the beginning of something. I ended up, interviewing Wade for 3 days and James for 2 days, and discovering the story that they had to tell, which I then had to check and go out and see if anything contradicted them. So there's a lot of work involved in kind of validating their story for me. This for me was never a film about Michael Jackson, and I don't really know that much about Michael Jackson. This is a film about Wade Robson and James Safechuck, and they and their families coming to terms with what happened to them as children. And in telling that story, we were in a position to educate people out there about how this kind of grooming child sexual abuse really goes on, what really happens, because there's a kind of assumption that child sexual abuse involves, a guy in a dirty trench coat who grabs a kid and kind of drags him into an alley and does violent things. More often than not, that's not the case. More often than not, it's gentle, it's seduction, it's seduction that mirrors seduction in an adult context, except it's happening with a little child who cannot consent. If we can bring that, if we can begin to tell that bigger story to the world, and it doesn't matter if it's Michael Jackson or the priest or the guy next door or the uncle or the beloved family friend that you trusted with your child, that is a really great positive difference that we can make. If Wade's and James' mothers had not agreed to appear in the film, I think it would have been diminished. And so I suppose knowing what was at stake, the chance that someone could say no, or that something could happen that would stop us from putting this film on screen. So you wonder what the Michael Jackson machine has got up its sleeve, what it can do. It has tremendous power and has always been a source of fear for a lot of people. People love Michael's music, but behind Michael is a machine that shuts down anyone who tries to speak out about what Michael was doing with little children. So when the film premiered at Sundance in January, I did not expect to get such an unequivocally positive reaction. I mean, just a wave of support for Wade and James. And in the intermission, everyone looked shell-shocked. And I think there was a lot of reporting from the intermission, people like, what the fuck happened? We didn't know how people were going to react at the end, because there were people kind of crying in the audience, and there were people kind of mumbling to each other, and we had no idea what this all meant. The credits came up, and we went up on stage, and there was this incredible standing ovation, and I think that was a turning point, certainly in Wade and James's lives, and as a turning point for me as well. I thought, wow, people have identified with them, people believe them, and I think clearly it feeds into the whole Me Too movement. It's about little boys, it's about children and men, male victims of sexual assault. And I think that kind of expands the Me Too movement in a good way. But as to the sort of wider cultural implications, because Michael was such a big part of the fabric of everyone's lives and the soundtrack to so many happy memories, I don't know how it's going to affect people out there.